purchase in history worth $142 billion. According to Japan's Fire and Disaster Management Agency, a massive fire tore through more than 170 buildings in the Saganoseki district of Oita in Japan, forcing 175 residents to evacuate and leaving one person missing. The blaze, which began around 5:40 p.m. on Tuesday, prompted Prime Minister Takeshi to deploy a military firefighting helicopter to douse the flames. Well, viewers, those were the headlines in our top focus. The Kremlin has now declined to comment on a report claiming that the US and Russia have been secretly working on a 28-point peace plan to end the war in Ukraine. Now, according to this particular report, the plan, led by US envoy Steve Witkoff, aims to address peace in Ukraine, security guarantees, and future US-Russia relations. Dmitry Peskov, the spokesperson for the Kremlin, has dismissed any sort of media speculation, emphasizing that there was nothing new to share. The plan, which draws from discussions between President Trump and Putin in Alaska, could include contentious issues like territorial control in eastern Ukraine, where Russian forces are making incremental gains. Reportedly, the US has already briefed European officials, but the plan is still in early stages, and the parties remain divided over key issues. It is still unclear how Ukraine and its European allies will respond. Meanwhile, on the war front, Ukrainian authorities claim that the death toll from the Russian strike on Ternopil in western Ukraine has now risen to 19. The munitions, remember, had struck two 9-story residential buildings. This is the latest that we are tracking on the broadcast. We've, of course, reported just a while back that the death toll in this particular strike, the munitions which had struck two targets in western Ukraine, has now risen to 19. Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that the assault involved more than 470 drones and 48 missiles. Zelensky had in fact reported that residential areas were struck in the attacks, causing significant destructions and leaving dozens more injured. With us on the broadcast is Mr. Gilbert Doctorow. He is a Russian affairs expert joining us from Brussels. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. There have been some murmurs, some reports, speculations that the United States is working with the Kremlin to draft a 28-page peace plan, I beg your pardon. But Kremlin has declined to comment on this. At the same time, we've also been tracking that there are senior US Army officials who are in Kiev. It's an unannounced visit. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll and Army Chief of the US Staff General Randy George, they're expected to meet Volodymyr Zelensky, top commanders in Ukraine. They're also likely to meet Russian officials at a later stage. Both the White House and Pentagon have not really commented on this trip that is taking place at the moment. In your assessment, are back-channel talks still taking place with regards to peace? Of course, Russia has made it very clear that it wants the question regarding the territories it has gained to be resolved.
Well, it seems as though everybody on all sides in Western media, both mainstream and alternative media, drastically underestimate the ability of Donald Trump to outmaneuver the many opponents he has, even in his own party, even in his own entourage, like Mr. Rubio, and to get a peace done between Russia and Ukraine. Today's news has been contradictory. It opened with the announcement that Witkoff was going to meet with Zelensky, and that the Russians had been saying quietly that their views on how the war should end had been received and understood by the United States. All of that suggested that there has been secret diplomacy going on, as I would hope there has been, because the war is such a big issue and public diplomacy is not the way you solve these things. Mm-hmm. So it would appear that Mr. Putin's strenuous efforts, going back to the Valdai conference, to ingratiate himself with Trump have not been in vain and have not been pointless. That he and that is the Russian team and the American team were quietly preparing what is going to be rolled out today, again behind closed doors where it belongs. And indeed, the Americans have probably come around to the Russian point of view, notwithstanding Rubio's denial that Lavrov's version of the Alaska summit agreements was wrong. It would appear that it was not wrong, and that Trump has kept these cards very close to his chest and is now about to put them down on the table because he thinks he has the Trump card. The Trump card here, if I can be allowed this play on words, is the scandal going on in Kiev over corruption,
Yes.
which is taken very seriously in the States and is even taken seriously in Brussels.
Indeed, you're referring to the energy scandal. We were discussing this on the channel just a couple of days back as well. One of the ministers had to resign, another was sacked as well. But in light of these quiet back-channel talks that are taking place, how do you think Europe is likely to react to these developments?
I think Mr. Trump is doing everything possible to keep Europe out of it. It is not surprising that this planned meeting with Zelensky is taking place immediately after all the damage of the corruption scandal has hit, and before the Europeans have their 15th or 16th of December meeting of the European Council to decide on providing this 145 billion euros in loan money, so-called, to Ukraine based on confiscated Russian assets in Euroclear. So the United States, by scheduling precisely now the time to lower the boom, as we say, on Mr. Zelensky, is doing it before Europe can get its act together. That's not accidental.
Indeed, sir. Requesting you to stay